Murli Notes, 9th May 2023. Why is it important to prove that Shiva, and not Krishna, is the god of the Gita? The overwhelming majority of people who study Raj Yoga with the Brahma Kumaris are not educated in matters of theology. Consequently, their thinking remains focused on behavior and dogma. It requires a well-trained and subtle intellect to process the comparison between Paramat and Srimat. Paramat refers to religious dogma that was created by religious authorities and is amended from time to time by other religious authorities. The purpose of Paramat is to consolidate political, religious, and social attitudes that sustain the religious authorities and traditions. Secular systems are established according to the prevailing social attitudes set up by religious authorities. This is contained in the Vedas and the Manusmriti. The Ramayana describes this and demonstrates how Paramat results in loss, lack of meaning, failure, and unhappiness. The moral logic of the Mahabharata is incomprehensible to those whose thinking is based on patriarchal religions, whether the major religious traditions or ancient pantheistic religions. All are essentially patriarchal and operate their societies according to the same basic principles. Shiv Baba's purpose is to deconstruct all these systems and attitudes through the insertion of a small number of specific ideas that are so potent that they can collapse the entire ideological basis on which the world as we know it functions. Very few BKs can grasp this, but some may wish to. The soul is genderless and contains an indelible recording of a role from the time the conscious being arrives on earth until the end of the time cycle. That is a maximum of 5,000 years and 84 births, a minimum of 1 birth and a small period of time. All material things and non-material beings are eternal and deteriorate under the influence of time. All are restored to their original condition by incorporeal God at the end of the time cycle. All time cycles are identical. No soul can return to the soul world until the end of the time cycle, at which point there is purification of all souls as well as matter. God is incorporeal and cannot be a human, nor can a human be or become God. God is immutable and does not come into the cycle of death and rebirth, is not subject to deterioration, does not have a body of his own, is the owner of the universe and has the capacity to restore it to its original condition at the end of each time cycle. God knows and explains perpetual motion. The word Shiva is the attributive name of God because it means the seed, the point, the benefactor. The word Krishna means the most attractive one, which can apply equally to incorporeal God and to the first deity to incarnate in the time cycle. All founders of religions are human souls. All are locked in the cycle of death and rebirth. Souls of their respective religions descend and follow the religious founders, who must sustain them until the end of the time cycle. Krishna is a human soul who is the first to descend into the time cycle, which occurs in the middle of the confluence age at the moment of nuclear conflagration. Being pure and descending at the moment of purification of matter, and being born by parthenogenesis to yogi parents, he is classified as a deity. Other deities are born similarly after him, and he becomes the world emperor of both temporal and spiritual power, founder of the dynasty of the sun by the name of Narayan upon coronation and marriage to Radha, who is renamed Lakshmi. This ceremony marks the beginning of the time cycle. He and all other deities remain locked in the time cycle and deteriorate, at first slowly from 16 to 14 to 8 to 0 degrees of spiritual light or purity. According to this description, Krishna cannot be God. Anyone can use any method of meditation to generate an experience. It is not possible to know God through an experience. A religious believer who remembers God with love, sincerity, and intense practice can experience a reward from God in the form of a special spiritual experience, which will make them happy and inspire them to draw conclusions as to who and what God is. However, God makes it clear that these experiences are gifts from God, but they are neither contact with God, nor do they enable the meditator to know God, nor are they proofs of contact with God. This is not called yoga with God. You can only have yoga with God through God. God is called Yogeshwar, the teacher of yoga. God says he puts an end to bhakti by giving gyan. Without gyan, you cannot have yoga with God. He says he gives gyan through Brahma and no one else. This is the importance of Brahma, the first created man. This information is called the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. However, the Gita was falsified during the 5th century CE. The Murlis contain detailed corrections to the Gita and are called the original knowledge of the Gita. Om Shanti.